Hey, and then the rice water in Yanum Yadofo. We are going to do rice water in 3 different ways. And Ghana, the friend rice water. Yes, but then, yes, we were supposed to call it rice porridge. Yeah. So we're going to do the regular rice porridge we all know. We all grew up. Yes. I don't know, by my house, when we were young, my mom used to do rice water Sunday. So I don't know what day your mom used to do. And I know as kids, Charlie, sometimes, yeah, you know that thing. Some people really love rice water. Some too don't really like it. But I'm going to show you 3 different ways to go about it. And you'd obviously love one out of them. So let's watch to the end. And you're going to see how to go about it. For me, the very last is my favorite. So make sure you watch to the end to see my favorite, how it's done. And yes, I know some people only like the rice water because they get the opportunity to take the milk off it. Yay. Those people to the Adele. So yes, we're going to look at rice water today. And yes, I keep saying rice water. Charlie, rice porridge. We're going to do rice porridge today. We're going to do it in different ways. So we're going to do the very smooth. We're going to do the regular. And people complain that when you're using the non-broken rice, when you're using the whole grain rice or the full grain or the long grain, they have issues. We won't say it get too soft. It doesn't get too soft or it doesn't come out too well. So I'm going to show you how to do it right with long grain rice. So I used long grain rice here. Then I add some salt to taste. Now for the long grain or any rice you want to use, whether you're going to use broken, any type of rice you're going to use, please do well to wash your rice well. Wash your rice well. In as much as it may be a high-tech brand or whatever quality brand it is, please do well to wash it well. It may have sat in the stores for a while, the handling, dust and all those things, it won't do you any harm. Wash it well. So I washed it about 3 times, yes, before I used it. So don't really worry. Now when you're done washing, what you'd want to do is to soak it a bit. So for rice water, honestly, a 2 par. So if you take 1 part of rice, you may need like 4 to 5 parts of water. So when your water goes in, just let it sit in its corner for a while, about 10-15 minutes. You realize the rice, the color looks different. Yes, it wasn't grainy like I placed it in before. And you realize it's already coming together some way, even though no heat has gone on it. So this works perfectly, especially when you're using long grain rice. Else your rice water is going to look some way. So before you start cooking it, before you put your heat on or your fire on, you just add in your salt and you allow it to boil. Rice water, dear, most mommies like it because, Charlie, you just put it on fire, take your mind off it for a while, then come back to it. And it depends on the heat you're using. If you're using high heat, Charlie, within 10-15 minutes, you should be done cooking it. Depending on the quantity, sometimes 5 minutes if the quantity is small. So, see, it's cooking beautifully, and I stirred it. And because I pre-soaked the long grain, even though it's long grain and it's quality rice, you realize that still it's soft and nice. If you don't, your rice is going to be like rice bro or a bro rice water. It's just going to be a bit too rough in your mouth. Yes, so please, if you're using long grain, don't say that long grain rice and find your rice water. Don't be deceived. Long grain rice, you can use it for quality rice water. Just make sure you soak it before you use. And yes, it was so thick. I actually added a bit of water later just to thin it up. But then you can leave it thick like this, depending on how thick you'd want it. But please, when you're doing rice water, make sure you don't get it too runny. Because when it's too runny and you serve it and they add sugar, it bettins you. It's going to get runny. So make sure your rice water is a bit thick, so when you add in your sugar, it doesn't get runny. And yes, I served it with some groundnuts and evaporated milk. You can equally use powdered milk, any sweetener of your choice. You can use any sweetener of your choice, what you want to eat it with. You can eat it like that. Yes. So this is one style or one form. Another way I did it is by mealing my plain rice. So instead of doing the regular, this one way you could also do it, and this is also great, especially for children. Now all the three ones we did are kid friendly, they are child friendly, they are baby friendly. So when you are weaning your baby or when you start feeding your baby, you can give them any of the three. Yes, so this is the milled rice, and your simple blender, your mill in the kitchen, it can do for you. So you don't really need so much to do this. You can even crush it with your pot, earthenware pot or something. It's like you doing cocoa. I added in water to it, and don't forget it's the same rice. Even though this is smooth, it doesn't mean it's going to take less water. So you need to be very mindful. If you use less water, it's going to be too thick, and you're going to really struggle to get it to be loose, a bit loose when it's done cooking. So I always say that when you're taking one part of the smooth rice, make sure you take at least 3 parts of water. Yes, or worst case maybe 2.5 parts, because it's going to thicken, it's going to increase, it's going to double. Yes, so all you're going to do is basically stir. Maybe as you're stirring, you can just be singing one childhood lullaby. If you don't know any lullaby, yeah, you can just be stirring. It doesn't really take so much. Yes, so you're just going to be stirring just to make sure that it comes together beautifully. Honestly, the initial part, once it starts to cook, it's better you stir, because if you don't, it's going to just settle at the base and it's going to form into something you don't want to see. So please, especially at the initial stages, make sure you do stir it very well. And if it's too runny, you could always mix your powdered rice with a little bit of water and introduce it in to thicken it. If it's too thick, you can always add in your water, whether hot or warm or regular, and just use it to thin it up. So you realize that yes, it was thickening and the bubbles were coming. And remember I told you that for every cocoa recipe or every porridge recipe, when you see your bubbles, then you know that yes, this is literally cooked. So one sign for cooking your porridges is the bubbles. Yes, so I just allowed it to sit and bubble up more a bit so that everything comes well cooked. And you know, children love rice, especially when it's this form. So if you are weaning your baby, this one day, try it for her or him for me, and you realize they would really love it. So your second rice water option is done. See how it's looking. Very conscious. This is a delicious rice water. A poucho. Try mommy. What's it? Wow, be feeling. So yeah, I served this actually with some milk powder and some dates. Yes, so what you see on top is dates, dry dates, which I added to it just to give it a bit of crunch when I'm eating, because you know it's very smooth. I like to have a bit of texture in there. Don't mind me. Fancy in me any day, but kind of day. Yes, so this is the third option, which is one of my favorites. What I do is to roast the rice, yes, till it's a bit brown. Yes, so if you any rice you have, whether you having brown rice, whether you having plain rice, whether you're having white rice, the rice you want, or the rice you have, long grain, short grain. Yes, so I roast it up a bit and it gives it some nice aroma and flavor when you're done. You could even decide to add in your local spices like your cloves, rentia, pepper and all those ones. You can add just a bit of it to it as you roast it. That one improves the aroma and all those ones. Yes, but as I didn't really add much of it. I didn't add it to it because yes, I was just doing the basics for you. Yes, and you know, children, You don't want to introduce them to too much spice early, else they'll start running away. So yes, that's how it looks beautifully. Please, when you're done roasting, make sure it cools before you blend. If you don't cool, it's going to turn something else. So let it cool down, then you mill it. So I told you you could use your mill at home. It doesn't really take so much effort to mill this. Yes, and it's not that tough to mill. So your mill at home would easily do it for you. Simple craft. Now this is how I store it. Because when you do even half cup of rice, it's going to be too much for one person to eat. So I pour it into small bowls, then I cover it. So the one I'm going to cook, I'm just going to pour it in and I add in my water. This, unlike the one before, the plain white one, you need a bit less of water. So if you're taking one part of the blended rice, you need to take maybe 1.5 or 2 parts of water, because this one you don't need so much water. Then you cover it beautifully. So that's how I store the rest of my rice meal. So whenever I'm ready to do some, I just cook a bit, then I go with it. So rice water, dear, honestly, is one simple recipe you can try. If you have a large family, oh boy, it's low cost meal and it takes less time, less effort to do. And I told you, this is my favorite out of the 3. Yes, it's my favorite. So this is also kid friendly. When you're weaning your child, please try it for them. Let them enjoy rice in different forms. So when you're bringing the rice water, don't run away. Don't give it to them one way all the time. Everyone deserves some variety. So give yourself some break of monotony. Yes, so do rice water right, do rice porridge right, and enjoy it. So this may foam a little bit. Don't worry, don't be too worried about it. It's because it's been fried and all, so don't worry. But it's also going to come together beautifully, and you're going to see the bubbles. I always see the bubbles are your green lights that your thing, it is getting cooked, or it is cooked. Yes, so for that one, like I said, just be mindful of the water. Don't use so much water, else it's going to be too runny. But I've told you earlier on that when it's running, just allow it to thicken by adding in a bit of your flour. But don't pour it in direct, or else you get lumps. Mix it up and then add it into it. Now for this one, because I've fried, it's like ngamo. Once you fry the rice, more one. Yes, so this one you may get even though it's fine, it still feels a little gritty, which is not too bad. It's nice. It feels nice. Yes. So I allowed it to sit for a while on the fire. Even as it's cooking, I allowed it to stay on for longer than the other ones. Yes. Just make sure that every grain comes out well cooked. Yes, but then it doesn't take long. Depends on the quantity you're making. For this one, it didn't take so long. And yeah, see how beautifully it is looking. Hey, this one, if they tell you rice water, you go believe unless you taste. So this is my favorite style. My favorite. Do give it a try. Do like, do share, do subscribe. If you've not subscribed, please, you see where they've written subscribe in red, tap on it, and the bell button by it. Please do well to also tap on that as well. And I'll see you in the next video. Till then, lots of love from my team and I. Mwah, mwah, mwah.